r/prorevenge with Mr. GreatStory. Today it's all about Reddit revenge stories. Like and subscribe or it will visit you tonight. Reddit, what's your best/funniest personal example of petty revenge? I had a guy in school who would always skip class and then ask for my notes. We had a group project worth almost 40% of our grade and he did zero work, and the prof told me tough luck. Instead of just saying no the next time he asked for notes, I took the low road and began giving him edited versions. I would leave items out of lists, incorrectly define things, or just straight up write stuff that makes no sense. An example of the crap I would put in: to calculate return on investment, subtract your yearly earnings from your current bank balance, then multiply by Escher's factorial. If he had even once bothered to crack the text he would have figured it out, but that apparently would have been too much effort for him. He retook that class. When I was a kid I got the Sabrina the Teenage Witch handbook. It was full of kiddie experiments and stuff, and was pretty fun. My older sister had upset or annoyed me about something, so I tried out one of the tricks from the book. You fill a cup with water and some corn kernels, put some tinfoil on top of the cup. The kernels eventually pop, and it makes noise against the tinfoil. I put it under her bed. It takes a few days to work, so I completely forgot about it, until one night I woke up to my two sisters whispering. It had popped in the middle of the night, and she thought there was a rat under her bed. My mom had a fantastic one. She was a language teacher at my high school, and years after I had graduated, she called me kind of upset because a group of guys was trying to make her look dumb. The class was supposed to write one of those team dialogues in Spanish and had a week or so to prepare it, then had to perform it in front of the class. When she called for them to do this, they said, "But we already did ours. We are not doing it again." She said, "You definitely didn't do it. I don't have any record of it here, and I would remember it if you had." They refused to do it, insisting they already performed it and that it was her fault she didn't take notes/scores down. She was feeling puzzled and questioning herself when one of the good kids came and said, "They didn't do it. They were bragging about making you look stupid and threatened the whole class if they told you anything. But please don't tell them I told you this. I don't want any problems with them." These were those stereotypical dumb jock types whom everyone was scared of for whatever reason. My mom was really into yoga at the time and got a great idea while meditating. She went in the next day and said, "Boys, I owe you an apology. I found my notes on your presentation, and I do remember it. I don't know how I forgot." She went on to describe all the grammatical mistakes they made, that their dialogue hadn't been as long as required, that they didn't include the necessary vocabulary, etc. All made up. She failed them all on the project and they couldn't do a thing about it without admitting they'd made it all up. Posted this previously. My ex cheated with a married man. He now lives with her. He is a pose, but anyway, I still have a login for her DVR. I logged in, erased all her shows, then recorded only the show cheaters. Petty, but it makes me laugh. Edit, additional info. I also set the show to be manually erased and stop recording 3 hours after the show's end time. A guy at work pissed me off. I placed this Craigslist ad with his phone number 2 free goats. Habla Espinal. He spent the rest of the day getting calls every 15 minutes or so. Kid stole my water bottle. I opened it up and left it inside his backpack. When I was a kid I had a bedwetting problem. I'm not ashamed of this now, as thousands of other kids have had the same problems. At the time, however, this was humiliating. My younger brother started telling other kids around school how extensive the issue was. I was mortified. Even after our mother told him to knock it off, he continued. So I decided to level the playing field. The whole hand in a cup of warm water deal didn't work. I stood over him as he slept one night and pissed on him. The next morning, my mom was horrified and wound up taking a call from my grandmother. "I don't know what to do. Now both of them are pissing the bed," she explained, clearly frustrated. After a few more times of framing my brother as a bedwetter, he completely stopped using my embarrassing problem as entertainment. Speeding up a coworker's double click speed and watch him squirm when his normal double clicking speed isn't working. Obligatory, not me, but this is a little long, but one of my all-time favorites. In Texas, there is a law that allows the US to take certain possessions to satisfy a debt owed, such as from a lawsuit. So this defendant had been committing Medicare fraud, got caught, has to pay back the money. He's also a total prick during the lawsuit, obstructionist, rude, etc. When the US finally has its judgment and he's pleading poverty, the US attorney that ran the suit basically ends up walking through the impoverished guy's multi-million-dollar house to handpick what is going to be seized. He takes the big ticket items that he's allowed, but it's not going to be enough, so then he just starts taking little shit to piss the guy off. Book half read on the nightstand? Gone. Can't take the garage, but you can take the garage door opener, so, gone. I don't know what else he took, but I think the idea is brilliant. The book would piss me off so much. I have two with a previous landlord/property management company. I signed a lease on a townhouse while in college that included high-speed internet. The setup was basically one shitty router for 40 next townhouses, so like 28 people. Needless to say, it was shit, and the location of our unit versus the router made it worse. We made some calls to try and get them to add a router or hardwire us in so we could add our own. No dice. Eventually I paid to get my own service and added 2x routers in our unit. I changed the SSID to match what the free router was and kept the passwords the same, so to the residents it looked like there was better coverage. After about 2 weeks I changed one router's password and just disconnected the other, so some residents could use the free router. Some had a bad password, and some could connect, but couldn't reach the outside world. They must have been flooded with calls, because within 24 hours they had someone out and added 3x new routers to help with coverage. The other was after a huge snowfall, 24 in 24 hours. The property management company hadn't touched the snow in our parking lot for days. After day 3 I called to mention we were sort of trapped and they needed to send trucks/snowblowers/etc to take care of things. The response I got was basically sorry. We'll get to it sooner or later. Side note, years ago if you opened a Yahoo email, you could add a second email for recovery without confirming it. I created a new Yahoo email address and used their general @xpropertymanagement as the alternate email. I had it copy every email to both. I then signed up for alerts for every time there was an eBay listing for snowplow, snowblower, snow shovel, or there was a sale on X snow removal gear. It took a matter of hours before thousands of emails were sent. Ended up crashing their email server. They responded to all residents with a very nice email explaining they get the frustration and they're working on it. So I paused the alerts 24 hours later. Still nothing. Alerts back on. Another email. Another pause. Another day of nothing. Repeat. Eventually we got the driveway plowed and life was good. Back in college, I was sitting in the library trying to work on an assignment. All was quiet for a while until this one obnoxious guy came in and sat at a table near me and proceeded to pull out his phone and have the loudest, most obnoxious conversation with one of his friends. Lots of bro, seriously bro, and yada yada. I was about to pack up my things and find somewhere else to work when the conversation turned to Netflix. The guy told his friend he should just use his account and proceeded to loudly state his email address and password for all to hear. This was too good of an opportunity for me to pass up, so I promptly logged in and navigated to the LGBT section and started adding the gayest movies I could find to the top of the queue. I like to think that both guys ended up thinking the other one added the movies to the queue, but were too shocked to even say anything to each other. I once had a colleague I hated. He was very condescending and really arrogant, so I put an extra Bluetooth receiver in his computer for a computer mouse and kept the mouse in my drawer. I would just open my drawer and it would mess his shit right up. Kept it going for like 2 months. He was about to murder the world when I thought I better stop. I once pulled this same trick on a coworker over the course of 6 months. We pulled pranks on each other a lot, and I would never mess with it when he was busy. One day he gets fed up and throws his mouse and keyboard on the ground, stomping on them and yelling. Then he looks at me, beet red, and asks if I had anything to do with it. I stare at him shocked, and after a few seconds he breaks down laughing. Turns out he recently found the receiver and so went and got a broken keyboard and mouse from recycling so that he could prank me back. I guess you could say he sure did get his petty revenge on me cause he really freaked me out. Back when I was studying engineering, it occurred to me to try and find an app on my iPhone for those Panasonic projectors in lecture rooms. So I get the app and it just let me connect to the one in the class without a password or anything. I have a friend who is one of those perpetual pranksters. You can't leave your PC or bag or food/drink unattended when he's around. So I beam a picture of him onto the projector, so the lecturer is just talking away, and this goofy picture of my mate is on the screen. The lecturer doesn't realize yet. People in the lecture start waking up and giggling a bit. Now I use the pen function and draw a penis on the picture too. Mate was red in the face and trying to hide. Lecturer finally noticed and says, "Michael, why is there a picture of you on the screen?" Finally, for a fleeting moment, I actually wrecked that fuka. I had a 6-month school internship at a mobile phone store. The boss was a total asshole that treated his school interns like full paid workers, even gave me some concerning money responsibilities. A while after the internship he called to tell me I would have to give a statement at court. He had a problem with some customers and a shipment and he planned to tell the court that he explained to me everything concerning shippings precisely. Of course he didn't. And of course, I didn't lie in front of the judge. My boss attorney gave me a look I will never forget when he realized his stupid plans didn't work out. A few weeks later my now ex-boss tried to call me again. I didn't pick up. Fusike this guy. Someone in my office would always crush lunches with his gigantic ass lunchbox. Either he ate bricks or lead, I don't know, but I always came to the office fridge and found that my lunch was in pieces. So, after 3 bouts of this, and numerous notes from myself and other colleagues, I carefully removed his lunchbox, emptied the contents, a gigantic sandwich, a Twinkie, chips, some vegetable pieces, and a few other bits, and ran over them with my car. I carefully packed it back in, and put it back. He kept his lunch in a cooler by his cube from then on. The obligatory RIP inbox. The also very obligatory thank you for the gold. My first listing a PlayStation 4 like brand new on multiple second-hand goods websites for $50. I used my old landlord's phone number as the contact number. Fusike that guy. He had to change numbers. Knew a guy who pranked his friend in a similar way. Poster of a cat, pretty average looking cat, that said, "Have you seen this cat?" with the friend's number. He put it up at all the bars in town. His friend got constant calls from drunk people who had seen a similar looking cat. This dude in my accounting class in high school used to ask me for answers to questions, only to spout them to the teacher, like he'd worked them out, thereby looking like a genius and getting credit for my work. One day our teacher comes into class with a pierced tongue and is talking sort of funny. Terry, as his name is, proceeds to use it as a point of conversation. "Hey miss, do you have any other piercings, like your ear?" "No," she responds, thinking he's making an inane conversation. "Would you get your nose pierced?" He keeps asking, just to prolong the time before class starts. As usual, he leans over asking for help. What are some other good things to ask her? I was annoyed that he always asked for my help to benefit him, so I thought I'd have some fun. Labia. Ask if she's going to get a labia pierced. "The frick is a labia?" he says. "Oh, sorry, it means eyebrow. That's like the piercing name for it. Like how atragus is that nose piercing." "Yeah. Oh cool. Hey miss, are you going to get your labia pierced next?" Every girl, and especially the teacher, in the class, looked at him like he was trash, and he tried blaming me, but I brushed it off gracefully. Edit. For those wondering, I'm aware that atragus piercing is the one in the ear, while the one he thought I was referring to is actually a septum piercing, the one in the nose. Thankfully, he didn't know this, so I used it to my advantage. My boyfriend's uncle and 7-year-old cousin live upstairs from us. His cousin has a tendency to be a little brat. I was holding her Yorkie when she came over and yanked her from my arms. No more than 20 minutes later I went out and bought some dog treats. Every day when I come home I give the dog a treat. Now the dog waits by our door instead of hers. We had a guy in our office take a crap in the bathroom every day after lunch, and it would stink up the whole office. The manager asked everyone who needed to vacate their bowels to please use the lobby bathroom, since our office was small and we only had one bathroom. He didn't listen. Fortunately, he was like clockwork, so 5 minutes before he went and I took all the toilet paper. That's right, I forced the man to live with a dirty ass. My wife is very picky about the mugs she has for different hot drinks. Tall mugs for coffee, wide mugs for tea, dainty cups for fruit teas. When she's being irritating and asks for a cuppa, she gets very plain, boring builder's mugs, and I delight at the mild irritation it brings. Okay, this is not easy to understand, so let me explain first something about Chinese Shanghai culture. Old Chineses think that it's really shameful to have a son near 30 who is still not married, cause it means that you are not a good parent for not having found a good bride for your son, or you are too poor to afford marriage, or your son is ugly. People won't care if someone doesn't want to have a family or what. Anyway, they are going to speak ill about you and your family. The pressure is pretty high and everyone tends to want a grandchild better, if male, as soon as possible. My mother got sick 5 years ago in China. We are immigrants, so she doesn't have insurance there. Her treatment went more than 30,000 and we went broken. Since her aunts and uncles still owed her some money, she asked back some, but guess what? They denied it and let her sick and wait for death, cause they don't need the friendship of someone broken. I have to quit school and work to help her, and that's the reason for my poor English. After 4 years she was cured, and I got myself a family, had 2 sons, and bought a house with the help of my in-laws' business. Everything turns out just fine. Last year I took my sons to China and went to visit all of them as the tradition says, and they gave me the red pocket money for my sons with a sour face, and I asked my mom why. She told me that her aunt and uncle's sons still are single, all of them, and I have not 1 but 2 children. I spent the whole night pointed out how wonderful to have children. Sorry, not a funny story. Edit rip my inbox. I'm a girl. I mentioned son because the cousins are male. My first language is Italian. I was born there. I'm not a winner because I didn't even know about my mother's suffering or my relatives' selfishness. I was lucky and hardworking, so it was easy for me to work in a restaurant and send money for my mom's hospital bills. Huge in China, but okay with Europe earning. Then I met my husband and us managed to earn good money. Thank you for watching. Tell me which one was your favorite. Like, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more. The next video will be even more interesting. You are a legend.